In a while. Welcome to the Zachrilege cast. How's it going, Mr. Chris?
How's it going? There's Zachariah. Zachary, whenever it's short for, I never really.
I got in the wrong document, so since I'm just going to record this all live and not do the opening and closing part, so welcome to the Zachrilege Cast podcast YouTube video interview program that features me talking to some of the best and brightest in the atheist slash secular slash awesome community. This is episode 254. This is June 3rd, 2021. And thank you to the Godless Heathens for being on last time. Apparently, next time we meet the Godless Heathens, it'll be at a brewery. Although, okay, so this is something you can probably relate to as someone who doesn't like to leave the house, like, I was and am. So they have
in the quarantine, but go ahead.
They've been changing. They do these, it's like the Marietta skeptics groups, like north of Atlanta. And that's where the Godless Heathens guys go. And I went to one of the meetings like a long time ago. And they've been doing these meetings via Zoom, but now they're talking about doing them in person again because the smart people have been vaccinated. But at the same time, it's still like 7 o'clock on a weeknight. And for me to drive there, it'd probably be like 45 minutes. And as I had learned traveling last week, that pretty much back to normal traffic-wise.
Atlanta's Atlanta. That traffic's horrific.
It's like every time. So we went to the beach, and my wife's family comes from Chattanooga, so they always have to drive through Atlanta. They're always talking about how terrible Atlanta is. She had family members who worked here like in the 80s, and they're like, oh, man, it's so different. I don't know how different it is, but it's obviously a lot bigger than it was in the 80s.
Yeah, I'd say it probably did.
I remember people talking about, because we have like the interstate around the city, 285, and how like literally nobody lived outside of that before. And now that's where like most of the people live because it's a very spread out. I'm trying to remember because I saw there was like a ticker when I first moved here with the population. And I feel like it's like 5 times as many people live here as did in 1996 when I moved here, 25 years ago. Goodness. I know, but I'll show off, my work in honor of the beard that no longer is, mostly.
Oh, yeah.
Backwoods bastard. I actually ran out. I had to pick. It's a weird thing, running out of beer. It's been a strange.
Is that?
And then the newest Dragon's Milk Reserve double bourbon barrel stout. So this is like 2 different kinds of vanilla, and it's very, I know it's hard to believe, vanilla. Although I really like that, you probably had this experience where you have a beer. The first time you have it, you're like, man, this is amazing. And the second time you're like, wait, maybe it's not as good. But
Old raspy.
Really? You're not over the raspy, are you?
No, I'm not over it, but it's just, it's one of those nostalgia things. You know how it is. When you taste it in the beginning, it's like nostalgic. So the taste, then you taste it later, and it's not that as good as I thought it was. So I had to bring the ranking down, which is a rare move for me on the Untapped app. I felt bad.
Like it comes to beers I used to like, that they do taste different than I remember. Like I used to be big, like when I was transitioning into Happy Pride Month, everybody. Transitioning into craft beer, like brown ales were big, and now I find them to be usually pretty hoppy. Like I found one when I was in Florida that I actually kind of liked, but it's still like, you know why I think I liked it? Because most brown ales are like 5%, and that was 8.5. So there you go.
God, I can't drink that now. It's hard for me to drink 5%.
Well, aren't you going to have to do that? Aren't you, Mister on a kick?
Oh, a kick is it? It's a
losing some. It's a phase, right?
Okay, keep it up. I cut the hair. I let the hair grow out. Shave the beard. Trying to lose weight. I'm going to pick up some 18-year-olds, I guess. Get a car. Get a Corvette or whatever.
I don't know. I like your style in that you were like, hey, I'm looking to get a stationary bike, and then someone gave you one. Sometimes social media gives. It usually takes.
It was weird, and then she brought it over here. I'm like, I guess I'm just so magnetic that people just want to give me shit.
It's true. I come to Nashville. First stop is drop you off beer. It's a strange thing.
Look at his face. Who can resist? Yeah, so that's the whole thing I got going on right now. I'm eating better, doing the stationary bike, cutting back to the beer 2 times. I'm telling you, man, this is going to be the hardest part of anything is trying to drink only 2 beers on a Friday night.
You should do like a live video of that.
And of course, I have this to sort of compensate.
It's been like 45 seconds, and I'm already down to my second beer.
No, I've tried to nurse him, but I don't go to drink that fast, man. I have to savor, especially the ones I hadn't had. Like the honey espresso I'll be getting tomorrow, probably.
Oh, is that the new Untitled?
Yeah. And there's another thing, I don't know if they have it yet. Yeah, I saw it pop up. But I haven't seen it. The others, 2 store, Craft Brewed and Main Street, are battling each other right now for who's got the better selection.
Let me see if I can share. Yeah, well, this isn't really going to work. We'll try it. So, this is cool.
Let's see.
So
I did this before.
I was doing this thing where it was like 3 beers. It was like a beer I liked that I got, and we'll use my vanilla as the example. Expensive beer of the week that has like strange ingredients, but I still would be intrigued. And then the weird beer of the week. And I think this one qualifies. So I often get, like Facebook messages from people, and it's showing beers because I'm in like 2 local Facebook, and the Variant is one of the best known breweries in town. And one of the beers the guy was drinking was green. And I swear that they had some kind of like sour that was green. I'm like, well, maybe I'd like to try that. Let me see what this beer is. So I looked it up, and it's vitamin C, like the C, and it has pineapple and blue spirulina.
And pray tell, what is spirulina?
Well, when I was getting into, I remember like kind of health kicks, I don't know what it was, 10, 15 years ago, like spirulina was like a big ingredient because it was like an algae that it has a lot of protein in it. So you can like put it in smoothies, and it supposedly packs a punch in terms of like protein. But to put it in a beer, yeah, that's another level altogether.
Yeah, I don't.
Any beer that it's not natural.
Well, it's one thing to put stuff that actually like peanut butter or vanilla. But who the fuck wants a variant that's got fucking algae in it? Come on, unless you're like the biggest Greenpeace person ever or something,
I don't know. I find it's tough. Like you figure out what makes a beer like break through. Is it because it's just an amazing version of a style that people like? Is it the name? Like I went to a brewery, visited a friend, first time we'd seen each other in like a year, and went to a brewery, and one of the beers they had that was sold out was called Bathroom Selfie. It was a hazy IPA. Ever heard of that?
Yeah, the names.
The best,
too much.
I mean, the best part of that was that my friend is a big IPA guy, and I'm a big stout guy, so we usually get exactly the opposite beers when we're there. It's like between the 2 of us, we covered the entire thing. But I did have a style that I haven't had maybe ever, or at least never enjoyed, and that was the Pilsner. Thanks to somebody.
That's my go-to for lighter beers.
I was like, I feel like I may have wasted one of my 4 in the flight, but I'm like, it's really light. It's yellow beer that Aaron Ra makes fun of, although I saw him with a yellow beer in a video, so he's dead to me.
It's a summer beer. I mean, it's one of those things where if you can't get, because it's summer and people apparently stouts are just out of control, out of the question. If you're going to have to get a place with IPA,
are they?
Well, I mean, except for cool people like us. But yeah, Pills is the way to go. It's smoother, and if there is any hop, it's a tiny bit of hoppiness. It's just smooth as shit. I mean, it's not IPA without But it's better than the lager, whatever, because it's got a little more body to it, a little more flavorful.
A little more body like he used to have, right?
Well, trying to get rid of that little body, huh? No.
How much weight you think was in that beard, you know?
I don't know, man. Probably at least 2 pounds. I mean,
So I was on the beach last week, and usually when I go to the beach, I like grow my beard. For those of you listening,
Yeah,
that's finger quotes. And by like the fourth day, I look like child molester or a prophet from a Middle Eastern religion.
Do that again. Maybe don't do that again. Or
well, in previous trips, I'm just like, I don't want to take this space in my bag. I'm not bringing anything to shave with. And then after like 4 days, I'm like, yeah, I'm shaving, you know.
Pussy.
But unfortunately, it was, you know, downer of a vacation because like 2 days in, found out that wife's grandmother had to go to the hospital. So that kind of cut things short.
Oh, shit. You okay? She okay?
Had to get a pacemaker installed and is in a rehab facility right now. Because Allison's parents live in Chattanooga, so they had to drive back like Tuesday night. And the worst thing, they were like, well, we'll go. And there wasn't anything they could do. So we just stayed in kind of a semi-depressed state for the rest of the week. I mean, we don't usually do anything on the beach, but we did even less anything this time. Like
I don't understand going to the beach. Myself, I don't even like anything about it. I don't want to get sick.
Well, the thing is, you know, the place we go to, like the funny thing is, I get in the water, like the ocean, like maybe 4 or 5, like once a day. But I started like, when you get older, it's like, oh, I get water in my ear. And that's like the worst thing. So I put in like earplugs and I still don't stick my head into the water. So I get in the water like a few times, but really there's a nice gazebo, so there's shade, and we stay in the shade all day because, yeah, only crazy people get in the sun.
That's what I'm saying, man. Just stay at home when it's warm and get under a gazebo and have a beer. Why do you need the beach party? If you need to, get a green screen. Okay, if you need the beach view.
The ocean's nice, you know?
I guess.
We got to see every night around sunset, little stingrays came in and swam around for us. That was cool, but...
Where the hell were you?
Panama City Beach.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. The redneck Mecca.
Yeah. Yeah. Only I was kind of thinking I'd see more like overtly, you know, I saw a few like Christian themed like tattoos because that's of course a requirement. One guy wearing like a Blue Lives Matter kind of shirt that was like basically like a worship the police and have like Bible verses on the shirt. Like I looked up the name of the company and it's like, yep, exactly. But you know, it was what it was. You know, driving down, you go through all these back roads, and there are a lot of just. Yeah. It used to be a lot of little like, you saw barbecue shacks, and you saw little places on the side of the road that were selling like Trump memorabilia, and I was surprised that I didn't see any of that this time. Like I thought, is the dude done with like, I didn't think he was.
I've been to many rural places lately, but the ones I see, I didn't see anything really much.
Well, they have these kind of tourist trap stores. And last time we were at the beach, it was so cold, I had to buy like a long sleeve shirt because I didn't bring anything that was warm enough. And they had a little corner that was all like Trump stuff. And it was the stereotypical Trump, like shooting a machine gun with like a bandana and like he's all like buffed out. And it's just amazing that this like weird right wing, like super masculine culture, like their God is like the least, like you just say anything to him and he just backs down instantly. And he's just not got the bod, so to speak.
Which bod?
And he wears lifts and does drugs, and he's apparently on, you know, got diapers going on. Yeah, that's your guy. That's like your.
Well,
I mean, it takes something to be the first guy in like 150 years to lose popular vote twice, because only like 3 people ever have done that. So congrats. But yeah, the fact that he had this blog going on, and then he decided to quit because it wasn't. It's like that's not your audience doesn't read.
Yeah, that's your
audience would watch. like him do like a TikTok 1-minute video or whatever the hell he had come off, that everybody says, wow, what an amazing statement he had, It's sometimes like going back and seeing like how TVs looked before they were HD, like, God, how did we see that? And then like seeing Trump from like 2 months ago, like, wait, this guy was our president and he just couldn't talk. He didn't do anything, and
He's
people,
coming back. He's coming back.
You
think he can keep that fool down for long?
Well, speaking of someone who can just is always going to be on our Mount Rushmore of amazing atheists, our guy Richard Dawkins. So I posted a video, Chrisiosity, who I had in the show a while back, did a video on Dawkins and humanism. And I thought it was a good video because she actually showed examples of people who were humanists who actually like were helping other people. And you can't say that Dawkins hasn't helped people, but it seems like his social media presence has definitely done the opposite. And he's been kind of consistently this person for a while. Like, people cannot be shocked from about what he says, about how he's supporting like anti-trans people and not so much a fan of the ladies. I like assume he's married, but yeah, he's not. Yeah, he doesn't seem to ever do well.
Married to some.
I mean, he's old as fuck. He's like us together in age. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, he never was that. If you ever paid any attention to him, I mean, even back in the day when we thought he would, we were just all into the atheism shit, he always did seem kind of have his foot in his mouth in one way or another.
I mean, in terms of like a sign of where the quote unquote like new atheist community is, I believe the latest episode of the podcast, I Don't Speak German, is about the new atheist movement. I Don't Speak German is basically an anti-fascist podcast. So the previous episode, they're starting a series on James Lindsay, one of our favorite new atheists. Actually, if you want to collect them all together, what you do is you look up the group Atheists for Liberty and look at their like board. We should do a fun game. So we'll do this. Chris, how about you guess the name of some Atheists for Liberty board members and see, if you win some fabulous prizes.
Well, you already know I know most of them. You know Silverman's one of them.
Ding, ding, ding. This is going to cost me.
Shit, and my brain. I doped up before I came on here just to let you know.
I know.
Because my tooth is hurt and now my brain is gone. Who are the other fuckers that are atheist assholes?
Peter Boghossian.
Oh yeah, Boghossian.
I want to be canceled because I keep hitting on my students. James Lindsay, of course. Sure. Gad Sad, who I didn't realize. Was it like some people
or Sherlock too
are like atheists, but they're also like say they say they're Jewish as well, like to win points with the weird
Jews. You mean like
the weird Dennis Prager types who are like, I'm Jewish, but I'm pretty much Christian too. Like Michael Shermer, of course, David Silverman, and Yasmin Muhammad, another one of the ex-Muslims who went.
Yeah.
Can I be all the way right wing and be kind of left wing in terms of like Islam? That's about it.
Yeah, it's sad. Ina would be the opposite end of that spectrum, of course.
I know, and I'm not sure if she knew what she was getting into when she started doing that series on like Sam Harris, because she's like 6 episodes into Woking Up, and it's just it's like, man, you do a lot of work on this, I can tell, but that's got to be emotionally difficult when you're like, hey, I want to do this takedown on somebody, and you're like, man, I just keep getting more material. Like, it's very strange.
6 episodes, that sounds almost like sort of a, fixation that you might want to just not do too much of, or you'll get obsessed with it. That's all I'm saying.
No, it does seem like if you're going to be a content creator, you either have to post like the dumbest commentary, or you have to comment on the dumbest commentary, like the RM Brown guy that I think I've mentioned before, who does takedowns of like Ben Shapiro and Steve Crowder and Adam Carolla, my old favorite. Oh, good. He was hiding in plain sight the whole time. It was never that surprising.
I never really listened to him, so
I don't know why. Like, I liked his radio show, and it was like his radio show ended, and then he started this podcast, and it was just him joking around. He had like interviews with Hollywood people, and the social commentary was very minimal, at least as far as I remember. And then I just remember, like, when the 2012 election came, he was really pushing hard for the Mormon dude. And then he started doing these talks with this guy named Dennis Prager, and I was like, I don't even know who this guy is. And I started listening to it, and I'm like, why is this guy? I mean, one of the reasons I first listened to Adam Carolla because he did this takedown of like people who believed in religion, and now he's pretty much James Lindsaying at his entire like fan base is right-wing people or white dudes who just don't know any better.
They did a documentary together, Prager and Adam Carolla.
Yeah, it was one of the like videos was like a trying to watch, because it was like from Adam Carolla's like car garage, and it was Dave Rubin, Dennis Prager, Adam Carolla, and I don't know if they could afford Ben Shapiro. He might have been too expensive. I don't know, but just talking about how safe spaces are bad, even though they were literally in a safe space because they were amongst their own people. But it's, you go, oh, this would be so dumb, kind of like Trump, except that it's like what 52% of Americans believe. All these attacks on like critical race theory, and it's just like
the fucking shit's getting out of hand, and
you have to be like, it's something Adam Carolla used to do, like lying or stupid. It's like either you're lying about this or you're just really dumb, and that's what James Lindsay has become. And a lot of the people who do this, because you can make a great living, like literally everything he and like Peter Boghossian, Helen Pluckrose, like everything they did, they failed at, but they just kept saying that they succeeded and people believed them, including people like Richard Dawkins. So, there you go.
That's a great crowd to be a part of. Let me tell you.
I know.
Such a star.
And I actually bought tickets to see like Richard Dawkins talk. I don't know when it was, like a few years ago, and I was sick, and I just decided not to go. It was like his book had come out, whatever it was.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
The God Is Not Dead book. But yeah. I don't know. You been listening to anything lately? Anything quality?
Well, like I said, I would just mention the No Safe Spaces documentary where it's him and Prager bitching on.
Any more My Pillow Guy videos?
He released that second one. I don't know if release is even a good word, but I couldn't. It just gets old. I mean, the thing was 2 hours long. I can only listen to his crazy ass for so long, Let's see. Is anything else? I need to catch up on the hate watching. I haven't done it in a little while. I got to go find something suitably hate watchable, I guess.
I mean, there's one thing that was kind of enjoyable about the beach is like, oh, I'm not really listening to the stuff that I've been listening to on a daily basis.
That stuff's depressing.
It can be a bit toxic. You got to be like, there got to be people who are doing good stuff, right? They're out there. It's just all the negativity is very strong.
Or something similar, so I can clear my fucking head. This shit gets depressing. You don't even realize it until like you're away from it for a while. Like you just said, and just you kind of.
I mean, like the January 6th commission, how. I mean, not only did the vote go 54-35 and you lost, it's like 11 people didn't even show up, including the cinema, what's her name, from Arizona.
Why is she even a fucking Democrat?
Her and Manchin.
Manchin has a reason.
Yeah, I feel like, didn't he switch?
Fucking reason. I don't fucking know. Which way are the political winds blowing? He thinks he's the lever, so it makes them all feel all important and shit.
I mean, everybody's waiting for like Biden to like just let people down, but I mean that's kind of par for the course.
He's already letting people
They're giving up on the 15th. They're doing what is it? They're doing the infrastructure thing, and he's like negotiating, and it's like, dude,
Well,
the January 6th thing, you actually negotiated with the Republicans where the commission was supposed to be like 50-50 Democrats, Republicans. Like everything they asked for, you gave it to them, and they said no anyway. Maybe you should just act like that party doesn't exist. People are like, if you get rid of filibuster, pass the minimum wage, pass health care, pass all these things, and make the Republicans run against that, and you'd probably win in landslides. But they're just like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, I don't know
how like what's the least amount of stuff we can accomplish and still be called progressive, and maybe lose some seats. But
I mean,
when you got all three, exactly.
I'm done. I don't know what else to do, man. And you can't even get shit through your own caucus. Even if we didn't have the filibuster, you still have to fucking kiss the ring of fucking cinema and fucking mansion and shit. Because they're the bulwark. That's their branding, I guess, and that's how they make all their. I'm sure they make money off of it and shit. They probably get book deals and shit. I don't know, but it's just disgusting to me. They know exactly what they're doing, and they're not.
I think Biden and the Republicans have worked together all his career, so he's like, well, he can still do that.
I don't know. It's from what I'm hearing, he's starting. It seems like he's starting to come around. He even called out Joe Manchin indirectly at some kind of speech. I can't remember what it was. So he's not doing nearly enough. But I don't know if it's going to do any good. Come down hard on Manchin. And what's the point of getting an elected Democrat in Arizona if you're not going to be a Democrat in cinema? I don't get it. Primary that ass. I'm just saying.
I kind of see why the Republicans are doing what they're doing, like limiting voting, because they really are trying to create a situation where they win. They're passing these laws where like a judge can just like overturn an election just because.
Oh yeah. And now
because even like the weird fake recount that happened in Arizona that's being done by like a company that's never done a recount before, even with that, I don't think they overturned the vote in Arizona.
It's getting.
I don't think it happened.
Bigger. It's getting bigger.
But the problem is, that's why it breaks your brain, because now the like conspiracies are just getting so much attention that they get reported on like their reality. Like the latest thing was like, oh, Trump's going to be like, there was a QAnon conference in Dallas, and they're like, well, Trump's going to be put back in the office in August. Now they already said he was going to be put back in office in April, and then it was like in May, and then it was in June, and now they're doing August. They're giving themselves a little summer break, apparently. And Trump apparently is pushing it, and it's like, great, Trump's pushing it like some dumb conspiracy person, except that he was president of the country,
Let's just forget about that part.
Because he doesn't want to get, he doesn't want consequences, There's like that thing about Candace Owens like had tweeted about, oh, these people are in jail because of like what happened on January 6th. It's like, yeah, because they like broke the law. I thought you were all law and order until it's like, wait a second, my white knight moneymaker is going down.
Literally white knights too.
I would think the people who are like the right-wing content creators are probably happier that like Biden's the president, because they can be like, we are the outsider, because they always try to act like, the silent majority and all that. The people like Steven Crowder, who somehow has like 5 million subscribers, even though he's terrible.
Have you ever, it's just not even, it's bad.
Well, there's this weird thing, and maybe I feel like I need to get, if I really want to make it big as a podcaster, I need to get like a big neon sign with my show on it. Because it seems like everybody who has their show name in neon in the background is like a crazy, like fascist, like because Steven Crowder has that. And I feel like people like Michael Knowles and some of the right wingers I even heard of have like the name of their show in neon in their background. Like, do you not know the name of my show? Oh, there it is right there.
Pathetic. I would get a beer.
I would get it done in neon, and it would be misspelled when it came back to me. So that would be even better.
Well, it'd have to be Comrade Coconut drinking a beer, I guess, or something. Yeah.
Do your cats like beer?
They not getting none of my fucking beer. So I don't
Our
know.
cats sniff the beer and they just go, their nose goes
Yeah.
up like, what is that? That is, ugh.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason, they just like human food, ugh. But a kitty food is perfect. So
Well, they'll eat. Some of my cats will eat that chimkin. Let me tell you, they like some. They don't like pepperoni. They do like beef and chicken. I don't know about fish. I don't eat fish. Pork. I like pork.
So, someone who kind of hate watched or hate listened to something, do you have any questions for me about me listening to the interview with Justin, the atheist Muslim?
Who said that?
Really? I'm not inviting you back. You're done. You're finished. You're out. I was telling you, I listened to The Right to Reason with the atheist Muslim guy.
I'm
And you're like,
sorry, I
what?
told you I'm doped up. Shit.
Huh.
So what about? Oh yeah, that. Okay, the Justin. What's his name again?
Well, Justin Dowling, although he's converted, so he has a Muslim name. I was kind of surprised I didn't go all in and use it. Because so he was the empathetic atheist. I mean, I did mention this on my previous show. We talked about it for way too long. But now he is the EA show because he didn't want to get rid of all his YouTube followers because he's got like 2,000.
Oh,
And he has converted to Muslim. And I do believe he has. The funny thing is, like, people I talked to initially were like, well, it's April Fool's when it got like announced. So clearly he's making fun, because why would someone purposely choose of all the religions, if you did what was it like when you did sports when you're in high school, or you pick teams and who are the last two on there? Islam will probably be one of the last two that you would select to be like on your dodgeball team.
Ouch.
Although, well, maybe not when you think about dodgeball.
That's a funny analogy. I can see all these guys
there was
on the sideline.
Somebody posted a picture and they were like, these are the last two guys to be selected for dodgeball, and it was Trump and like Kim Jong-un from North Korea, because like those are the least two athletic human beings probably who exist. But in any case, yeah, this guy. So Robert Stanley does The Right to Reason. He likes to have controversial people on. He has Christian apologetics on all the time. He has people who think David Silverman's awesome on all the time. He does, he's just asking questions. So he had this guy on.
That's why I fucking got rid of his ass.
And I thought it was because you can ask the obvious questions. You're like, okay, so your prophet like married a 6-year-old, had sex with a 9-year-old. You could ask those questions. You could ask the question about how I think the Islamic, in the Quran, they say the sperm is like in the ribs or something. They have these like obviously incorrect things about, the perfect book. But this guy's still, a baby, a baby Muslim. So he wasn't asking him questions. And it really was like a debate crew, because it was like the Kalam cosmological argument, which basically says the universe had a beginning, which I don't think we've really determined is the case. And because the universe has a beginning, there had to be a creator. Like the whole concept is like everything started except for God.
It's circular. It's a circle.
And somehow the guys he was talking to, because he had a bunch of guests from all different faiths. So these Muslim guys thought something. They have a podcast, and they basically came through the religious backdoor, which by the way, is not something allowed in the faith. But you learn things about religions when you hear from an adherent. Like Robert asked him, what about gay rights? And he's like, well, I'm in favor of gay rights, although God says that sodomy is a sin. And it's like, God says, in the end, he did come off as someone who's like, hey, I'm not totally 100% sure, because, if you're a legitimate human being, you're not 100% sure of anything, which is good, but then maybe don't practice this thing. But he's all in. He said halal was more moral than the way like meat is treated in the West.
What
And
are
I
you
was like,
talking about?
can I do a like quick Google search? And it's like,
They let the blood.
in theory, you say, yeah, they in theory they like cut the throat of the
But they
creature.
let him bleed out and shit.
And in, you know, I don't know,
What, you just shock her?
the way we treat animals in the West is not great. Although I believe what is
yeah.
done here is you stun the animal first, then you kill it, as opposed to cutting their throat. Which, you know,
Tomato.
I just finished a book about Catherine the Great, and they were talking about the French Revolution and how a guy actually did tests on people who had been guillotined, and like literally people were responding. The head that had gotten cut off was responding to stimulus like a minute after the head got separated. So yeah, pretty much any way you kill any kind of being is painful. So to say it's better, I mean, clearly if people were like, man, halal is great, and then you eat it and you've been hearing it's great, you're probably going to be like, this is so cool. Like I go to a farmer's market and they have like halal meat. It's like, okay.
It doesn't make any. It's just.
I don't think it's necessarily better. Plus anything that was written, I'll say written by someone in the 7th century who was illiterate and the stories were converted to by other humans. You can't know. Like it's like saying, you know, for some reason Robert said that he believed in like an objective morality, and the theory is like you can't have objective morality unless you have God, but the only way to communicate God's word is through people. And are people, obviously you're trusting the people who are translating the message of God to you, unless you're having God talk to you directly, which I don't know is happening in this guy's case. It's hard to tell. It was more like he believed in a God as opposed to, but he just had, you know, like the music ran out and he picked a chair and the chair was Islam, and that's where he is.
These analogies are killing me, bro.
But after, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's just, you know, I get the idea of doing a show where you're like talking about controversial stuff, but I think it's almost like shit talking to get clicks in a way. It just, I don't think I could do an interview with Justin, just because I don't find the philosophical like arguments that interesting. Like he's talking about the laws of logic. I'm like, are these like written down laws of logic that people who are just like, this is true? Like, is that really the case? Or is it just like the laws of logic that comport closest to whatever your worldview is? Like, you know, I don't know.
This guy's just looking for another angle. He's a fucking.
I kind of think he believes it, but it's not, you know, it proves the ultimate theory that like somebody saying, when people try to talk somebody into religion, they usually don't do it the way they were talked into it, because it worked for them, but it doesn't work for other people. So whatever worked for him, like every atheist who's heard his story was like, that's pretty dumb. But for him, it clicked. And, you know, in a way, I'm like, it's kind of like, oh, it was fun. Like early on, it was an atheist community and everybody was friends and we really weren't, but we thought we were. and then, yeah, that didn't really work out.
So go to Islam?
But you have to.
That's your go-to. You know,
he's grown a beard. I mean, at least because I was wondering, like, well, what about this guy's wife? Well, he said his wife is still an atheist.
How does that work?
I mean, is an established relationship. I mean,
I don't care.
You know what happens when people get married? People do change, and you decide, do I go with this or do I not?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I love you, babe, but I can't.
I don't know if anything could be a surprise after you've known somebody for a certain amount of time. So I can't. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know.
That would be a surprise. That one would be a surprise to me. Because there's no circumstance I'm staying with somebody that's a Muslim. Well, not because they're. Hold on. Wait a minute. Before everybody calls me racist or whatever. They're not.
Too late. Yeah.
Religious generally.
Unless you're What was the guy who was on the Bill Maher show? Did that Attack? I can't remember his name. The actor.
What?
Guy won the Academy Award for Argo. I can't remember his name now. Ben.
Yeah, fucking.
Because I think he went after like Sam Harris.
Yeah, I remember.
But you know what?
Yeah.
He was kind of right, but some of the stuff he said was very
it's not. Yeah,
generic.
It sounded like a fucking. Yeah, it's like he's just trying to score a couple of points or whatever. It just felt like he was kind of acting a little bit, like being a hyperbolic, pulling a Dan Arrell, as I like to say.
What? I thought you were friends.
We are, but he knows I talk shit about him. What are you talking about, man? He's hyperbolic as fuck, and he always has been.
When can we still kind of talk shit about people and stay friends? Because it seems like it's so easy to like find one thing about someone, like, finding out someone has like fascist leanings. Yeah, that might be a good reason to be not friends with them. But find out someone's like a Baltimore Ravens fan, you still should be able to get over it.
Yeah, that's a little different. It's a tiny bit different.
Because I was, it's weird because like being into sports, you find out that's like the closest thing there is to religion, and people get just about as serious as that as they do religion. Although I don't see people like cutting each other's heads off for being like a fan of Alabama football. I'm surprised. I mean, a guy did murder like 100-year-old trees because Alabama beat Auburn or vice versa. Yeah. That was a real story.
But if you know Alabama, that's just par for the course. Shit, that's a Sunday stroll.
But you get to talk smack. See, I was talking smack with Corey. I don't care anything about basketball. Zero. But she's a big New York Knicks fan. She's unfortunate, one of those unfortunate people who was born in like the New York area, who's like I think she's like a New York Jets, like Mets and like Islanders
losers.
And like Knicks fan. So like all the franchises that have been terrible for like 50 years. And they just lost a series to the Atlanta Hawks. And I've actually applied for jobs in the Atlanta Hawks. They've been pretty much irrelevant since I've been here. Even when they were decent, they would always lose in like the second round. But they beat the Knicks, so I got to like make fun of her for that. It's like, you lost to a team that nobody even knows they exist. Like,
yeah,
The best part was like Spike Lee was at the game and the Hawks, and he's all sad looking because they lost. And it's like, Spike Lee's one guy we can all still kind of, pile on.
He's kind of a dick.
He's done some good stuff, but he's also a bit full of it.
He is. That's okay. I guess he's earned it.
He's earned it. I mean, he's had a pretty solid career. Can we give the guy that? I just remember one of the people I interviewed who became like anti-woke over time really was like...
Most of them...
was like anti... Just like... He had some movie called Chirac, and the guy was just like... just attacking him because he did have a period of his career where like Spike Lee's movies, people were like, what? It seems like he's kind of turned it around.
Well, him and Tyler Perry had a feud.
Tyler Perry?
Yeah, no, it was
Why is Tyler Perry like... I know he's like really successful, makes a lot of money, but none of the guy's movies have been anywhere within 200 billion miles of winning any awards except for Razzies, which are for bad movies.
Well, and actually they had a comp because...
but he's always like presenting awards at the Oscars, and it's like, do we not have other people who have done this?
It's because everybody likes him.
I mean, he's friends with Oprah. I mean, that's a good thing.
I mean, like Spike Lee and him talked it out or whatever, because Spike Lee was saying he was basically he was showing house slaves or what he was just shucking and jiving for the white man, and then Tyler Perry's like, well, you were just an elitist fuck, basically. Is what he was saying. So they were acknowledging that yes, there is a voice for Southern, frankly, idiocy. And I guess New York elitism, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, Tyler Perry does kind of like movies that are on the like intellectual level, like Adam Sandler movies. Like,
it's a little lowbrow.
There was like an Adam Sandler movie. It was like a David Spade starring like Adam Sandler movie. And there was a scene in which like the woman he was with like went to the bathroom and she's like, I fell in. And I'm like, wait, that's a joke that someone came up with and thought, let's put this in our movie. And it's like, I heard that he got like $240 million for 4 movies. So yeah, he's doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Adam Sandler's done fine. And then he like half tries in one movie, and everybody's like, "He should be nominated for Uncut Gems." I was like, "That movie was
sucks. God, oh.
He kind of just played a version of his character just without being over the top dumb, but it was not.
Oh boy, you played yourself.
I couldn't finish that movie, but
Well, now I have to.
But I just thought maybe one last like right wing content creator. So Andy No apparently is trying to get like attention because apparently some Antifa beat him up in Portland, and I'm like, would it be easier for Andy No if he could just hire a dominatrix dressed up like Antifa? Because it seems like he wants people to beat him up on camera so he can go whine and like sell books. I mean, he had a book come out recently. I think I almost like watched an episode of like a YouTube video where someone talked about it. I'm like, I can't even get that close to his content because I remember talking about it on Twitter and some people were like defending him, and it's just like, it's ridiculous. I mean, to show where these right-wing people are at. So there's a guy that we actually almost got to know, and he used to do these really elaborate productions. He did, what was that? Miss Saigon. He did a production of Miss Saigon where he actually got a helicopter from like Vietnam, and we're in a field in the middle of nowhere, and he did this production, and it was really good. And then he became this crazy Trumper. And he's doing a production of Oklahoma. And guess who's starring in his production of Oklahoma? James O'Keefe of Project Veritas.
Oh my God. What?
Because all of these guys, like Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, wanted to be like actors. They wanted to be Hollywood writers. And they were not talented enough to do it. So now Steven Crowder dresses up like a woman on his show and does horrible, like racist jokes. And I feel like the Project Veritas guy, that was him. But because of the culture currents, he became like really popular. Then you get kicked off Twitter and you become like a weird, apparently he's probably gonna get paid a lot of money for this, but it's like, there's no way I would ever see that. But it was just like, this guy was like this very theater dude, you think, and then he's like doing these like Trump videos, and it's like, what happened? Oh, your career isn't going as well as you wanted to. You thought you'd attach yourself to him, and you can't. The problem is like, except for like someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, you can't believe these people actually believe this stuff for the most part.
I thought no. That bitch is crazy.
Like Josh Hawley, what does he really believe? Like, dude is like East Coast elitist shit. He's like, I'm going to go to Missouri and become a senator. Well, okay, that worked.
That's such.
But I think at a certain point, you can't fake. Like, for some reason, Ted Cruz can fake it and be a senator, but I don't know if he can do it and be president because Trump is what he is, and he managed. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, okay. Because he was that way. You're saying
I feel like no one, like whoever is the 2024 like Republican nominee, I don't know. I don't even want to say anything because you could say things that sound crazy. In 4 years, it's going to be reality. So,
bro, if I didn't live here and the fate of the free world didn't rest upon the presidency, it'd be fun. You'd be, hey, let's see what happens. In the Republican primary. It'll be a fun thing to watch. Except I don't like watching things burn up like our nation. Well, we can rebuild it from scratch, but that's a whole nother story. I don't want to be in it. Let me just say that. I don't want to be in the fire right now. Let me get a little older.
But then I'm wondering, did someone right wing like actually invent time travel? And did they go back in the past and get like JFK killed and get like RFK killed and Martin Luther King and, all these people got killed, which led to our current like status quo being fascist, basically. As long as you are like, don't say anything mean to the sensitive white people.
That's what
white people.
CRT means. Don't say mean things to white people. That's exactly what they're saying when they say, "Well, don't can't touch CRT." Just don't. They don't want to teach racism. They don't want to touch reality.
They do want to teach it.
Well, okay. Anti-black racism. They don't want to teach that. They don't want their white feels hurt. So we're gonna have laws to make sure white people aren't feel nice and safe. Because they're fucking terrified. They're terrified.
We do need our safe spaces, especially from strange IPAs, right?
I think we all can agree on that. Or they should. If you don't, then fuck you.
It's a good tagline for any show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Try it and see how many... go pretend you're... go convert to... I don't know. Jainism. I don't know. Zoroastrianism or something.
Yeah, I think Jainism actually is kind of positive.
Yeah, it actually is kind of positive. So that's what I'm finding positive for guys. You could debate them on what assholes they are.
Find positive because these things are going to exist. I think in the early days you're like, well, we could get rid of Christianity, get rid of Islam. That's not going to happen. So maybe we do need to attach ourselves to progressive versions of these things, and maybe they'll drag them into the, not necessarily 21st century, but maybe the 19th century or the 20th century.
We've been trying Alabama to do that forever, or the whole South. It hasn't worked out too well.
The problem with living in the South is you're trying to say which state has it worse in the South, and you're like, okay, Mississippi, yeah, Mississippi,
Tennessee,
Louisiana,
trying to catch up. Holy shit!
I know their anti-trans laws are pretty. So they brought back the bathroom laws. That was they had quit that. They had moved on. They're like,
they've already
protect women in sports. Thank you, Caitlyn Jenner. That's really nice of you.
Yeah. Oh, that fucking.
She's a bad person.
Yeah.
It's a very straightforward thing to go. No, do not dead name Caitlyn Jenner. Do not say things about gender. But in terms of the human being, yes.
Oh, definitely. No, yeah.
Bad
I don't
being.
hate her because she's trans. I hate her because she's a shitty person.
I think it's a great sign for any marginalized group for them to have their obvious terrible people. So you get the congrats.
Yeah.
I thought, we're beyond that, and atheism is like, that's funny.
Nope. Try again. We hadn't ever been past that shit. Just go look at Atheists for Liberty for the examples of that.
I know.
My favorite.
Liberty associated with anything for the past 20 years has been bad. I mean, we have Liberty University.
Liberty. Family, freedom, and liberty. Name them all three of those things. Jesus Christ is probably a neo-Nazi.
And anything associated with liberty usually was somebody who's like, well, actually, you disagree with me. I'm not in favor. I mean, you saw that, was it the guy who was going to graduate from Stanford Law, and then he said something bad about the Federalist Society, so the Federalist Society blocked him from getting his diploma, and he couldn't even take the bar exam, and eventually Stanford had to turn that around. But it's the Federalist Society is terrible. The Federalist Society is further right than Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, they're
the ones that basically put him up. The candidates for Supreme Court. They're the ones.
They pretty much sent Trump the list of Supreme Court nominees. You got to put 3 people on there. That's automatically a sign that Biden should just say, okay, we're adding 6 people to it, and we're doing it tomorrow.
I say pack the courts, but that's just me.
I mean, it's okay if the right wingers do it. They just did it.
Yeah, exactly.
But the funny thing is they still voted against Trump and all his election stuff because while they are generally conservatives, they're not against totally horrible, written in crayon arguments. So maybe that's still the hope that
whatever keeps them in power.
That was the line from the movie Spaceballs that good is dumb. It's well, evil is still dumb most of the time too. So maybe we got that going for us. But the problem is good is dumb too.
Oh yeah. No. It's dumb or dumber, to quote a movie title.
Well, that sounds good. I think we've covered a lot. I hope you're doing okay. I'm sorry about the tooth pain. I've had every gum surgery known to man like twice, and that's the worst.
Yeah, I have teeth problems all the time. So
Nothing compares to that. And it's something people don't talk about as much with like healthcare, because even the best healthcare we have, dental is just
it's
awful.
garbage.
The best dental is like, hey, we might pay 50% of this procedure
Yeah,
that you
basically.
need like today.
You have to get care credit, and that's if you can get credit.
And if you have it, because I have a really good dentist that I really enjoyed, and like my last two insurance that I've had do not work there.
See?
And the worst part is I went there and they're like, well, we'll work it out. And then later they're like, yeah, you're paying the whole bill. I'm like, well, thanks, guys. That was good.
Oh, that's fucked up. That's seriously
Yeah.
fucked up.
It's pretty much the worst. We should move to
I'd
Canada.
give them half and tell them they'd have to sue me for the rest, motherfuckers.
Well, I appreciate that. Well,
I'll do it for you.
I look forward to your 2 small beers on Friday.
Fuck off. Now, wait a minute. I didn't say small, sir, necessarily. I said 2 beers. I didn't say how big they'd be. I'm still allowing myself 32 ounces in vodka if I need some.
I was like, whew. I've had bad experiences with vodka, so anytime, it doesn't matter.
Well, that's my good. I'm not buying a whole bottle because I stay away from hard liquor because you think it's bad now me naked on the camera. On Facebook, it's going to get worse. You're not just going to see my upper part, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll be kicked off Facebook.
People who are, yeah.
So, I mean,
I'm surprised that hasn't happened,
nobody
really.
wants that. Nobody wants that.
True. Well, thank you, Chris, for coming on short notice, and
once again,
maybe I'll have some left the next time I show up in Nashville.
Whatever the hell that is, end up time for you to come back. Shit, quarantine's over. Write me some beer, motherfucker.
I think I've saved a couple.
I bet it's more than a couple.
But we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Try to keep me in suspense. Okay.
Exactly. All right. Adios, muchachos. Until next time, let's continue the conversation. Or that.
I forgot it's not my show. Sorry.